He was an international man of mystery who went by many names and lived in dozens of places before returning home to lead a revolution. Who is this man, you're wondering? Ho Chi Minh. Good afternoon. This is Drew reporting to you on Ho Chi Minh. Here is a little bit of background information about Ho Chi Minh to get us started. Ho was born on May 19, 1890 in Hong Tru, Vietnam, to Nguyen Sin Sac and Hong Thi Loan. He was brought up in a village called Kim Lin. His actual birth name is Nguyen Sin Kung. Between the ages of 14 and 18, he attended a grammar school in Hue. Almost everywhere he traveled, he liked to change his name. Now that everyone has a basic understanding of who Ho Chi Minh was, we can get to why he is known today. Of the many places Ho lived in, one was France. Although being in a different country, he was still very politically active. He tried to petition U.S. President Woodrow Wilson during the 1919 Versailles peace talks to let Vietnam gain their independence from French rule, but Wilson did not acknowledge this petition at all. A few years later, Ho Chi Minh became a founding member of the French Communist Party, or as the French like to say, the Parti Communiste Français. He also traveled to southern China to organize a revolutionary movement among the Vietnamese exiles, and in 1930 he founded the ICP, or the Indo-Chinese Communist Party. After the Japanese invasion of Indochina, Ho finally returned to his home country in 1941, where he then adopted the name Ho Chi Minh, which means bringer of light. But what he actually brought was the Viet Minh. The Viet Minh was formed to seek independence for Vietnam from the French Empire. The group established themselves as the only anti-French and anti-Japanese group. In 1945, the Viet Minh seized the northern city of Hanoi, Vietnam, and this is when Ho Chi Minh became the leader of North Vietnam. Even though Ho Chi Minh had northern Vietnam, the French still had southern Vietnam. This caused a civil war to break out between Communist North and anti-Communist South. But since the U.S. got involved, it is known as the Vietnam War. During the war, members of the South wanted to help members of the North. They called themselves the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong was their own army of the South to fight Southerners. In the process, a road was built from North Vietnam to South Vietnam called the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The road went through the neighboring countries of Laos and Cambodia to provide logistical support to the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese Army during the Vietnam War. Here are some different views of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The trail was built in 1959 to make getting supplies to North Vietnam easier for the Viet Cong. The trail is about 1,000 kilometers long. Ho, or Uncle Ho, as his people like to call him, eventually stepped down from day-to-day leadership. He still remained an important role model and leader to the Vietnamese people. Even though many thought he was a great leader, he definitely had his cons. He instituted a policy called land reform, which he would violently take people's farms while killing thousands in the process. In addition, when U.S. soldiers took the city of Hue, they discovered a mass grave of about 5,700 victims massacred while men soldiers occupied the city. Nearing the end of his life, he gave a wartime speech to his people. Here is his speech.
Nothing is as dear to the heart of a Vietnamese as independence and liberation.
Although he did not live to see his speech happen or the war end because he died on September 2nd, 1969, at age 79. His wish came true in 1975 when the war ended with the U.S. troops' withdrawal. After the war ended, the city of Saigon was named Ho Chi Minh City in honor of their former leader. Ho worked very hard from 1954 till his death to unify all of Vietnam under communist rule. Now let's take a look at some rare footage of an interview with Ho Chi Minh.
No, because the Vietnam country is one. The war cannot go on forever, and we are lucky, high-ranking French politicians understand this. We want to maintain friendly cultural and economic relations with France and other countries. For instance, we both agree on sports. But we do not want France to have the influences of previous times. Never, because the Vietnamese are a very strong and confident people. The economy will not only maintain itself, but develop more. Our people are hardworking with sacrifice and enthusiasm. On one hand, we have domestic support, and on the other, we have brotherly support from our socialist countries. We are making slow progress, but it will still help in the future.
This interview was based on a real-life interview with Ho Chi Minh.